person that has to get away for a very good reason is Tim Shanahan, James Gaskell and Adam Nash from the New Brighton Surf Life Saving Club, and page 790 on your submission sheets. Councillors. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Who's off to the game tonight?
As the CEO, I better be there.
Can I get a lift?
Yeah, you can have a lift if you're finished.
I'll be there. Unfortunately, though, I've had to abandon support for New Zealand on this occasion. I'm backing the Penrith Panthers.
Though it's not the reason I'm here, I do want to say, while we're waiting for this to load, that thank you for your support of today's game and making that possible. It's fantastic for Christchurch. It's fantastic for the stadium.
It's sold out.
It is, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
All right, the reason we're here is to talk about New Brighton Surf Life Saving Club, and specifically the club rooms located on Marine Parade. As identified in the submission, the club rooms experienced significant damage in the earthquake, as is the case with a number of facilities out in the New Brighton area, and the club is now in a position where it is keen to move forward and replace those club rooms. It has a desire to do that in the coming 12 months, hence the submission today as part of the 2016-17 annual plan, and an estimated cost of $2.5 million to $3 million for that rebuild. The club has effectively just under 1/3 of those funds in hand itself, and it's currently seeking support from external funding sources, and specific to this request, seeking $1 million from Christchurch City Council to assist with the build of those new facilities. I'll hand over to James Gaskell, President of the club.
Hello. I'd hope you all agree with me on how important the surf club is to the community and to the safety of New Brighton beachgoers. With some stats from the last year, we have over 2,000 lifeguard hours, 7 people rescued, 18 requiring first aid, 4 searches, over 1,300 preventative actions, with nearly 4,000 people being directly affected by these. It also does a lot of work teaching water safety to its own membership and making future lifeguards. With your support, it would take a lot of pressure off our voluntary membership with this big project, which at the end will leave the community and Christchurch with a better beach experience, and New Brighton, a surf club that we can all be proud of.
The amendment to the long-term plan identifies $3 million for the regeneration of New Brighton. The club certainly supports that amendment. Any funding that can go into New Brighton is wonderful, and something that everybody in New Brighton is in support of. In terms of the request for $1 million from the club, there is potential, we would think, that that money could come from that specific source, depending on what else has been earmarked for that. And if that $3 million is already being used for other projects, then we would like to think that a project like this would receive council support and funding could be identified from other areas of council revenue. At the end of the day, the project reflects an opportunity for council to achieve something and be part of something that is going to happen in New Brighton. There have been various false starts in New Brighton. This project is ready to commence, and we would hope the council would want to be a partner in this project so it can have some runs on the board and demonstrate something is happening in New Brighton. I think it's also appropriate to reflect on the fact that the current club rooms, while they are still serving a purpose, are not going to be able to do that forever. At some point, it's not going to be sustainable to maintain those facilities in any shape. And in the changing health and safety environment, council, as does the club, needs to be very mindful of what are we providing in the way of beach patrol services to Christchurch's most popular beach, and what is the responsibility of all of us to ensure that the facilities that the beach patrol staff operate out of match the service that they are expected to deliver to the people that use that beach and the people that come to New Brighton to use that beach, but while there use other services within the New Brighton area. Thank you for your time, and thank you to all of you for your service over the last 3 years. It's been fantastic.
would say that it looks absolutely spectacular. So, Glenn.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Ref for helping to take part in these conversations. It's a pity he's not here, but he's been really helpful. So
He had a seminar that he had to go to this afternoon.
Oh, right, okay.
So sorry about that.
Yeah, and I'm aware too there've been some conversations with Rob Hall as well.
Yes.
Did you want to reflect back?
Look, we had a meeting yesterday involving Raf and Rob Hall and Stephen Clark from Development Christchurch, and I guess the overtone is there is a great deal of support for this project. There is a great deal of interest in whether this project goes in the current location. Does it get relocated so it's closer to the new hot pool? There's a whole lot of unknowns in terms of this, but I think there is still a decision that can be made at this point in time by council saying, yes, we support this club, we support the service it delivers, and we want to ensure that there is money set aside within the annual plan to deliver the right outcome for this club and for New Brighton.
As you said, a lot of promises, but nothing actually delivered yet. So this, I think, looks about the closest to being delivered.
David?
Yes, look, I'd just like to compliment the triumvirate up there for their presentation today. Certainly has covered all the bases, and I certainly think that it is an opportunity that we can get some runs on the board in the eastern suburbs, and thank you for your presentation. Very good.
Thank you. Cheers, Dave. Thanks.
Yanni?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was just interested in, you've referred to Sumner, obviously, in your submission.
Yes.
And that was funded through the capital, some of it was funded through the Capital Endowment Fund that we put aside post-earthquake. So I know you've identified one source of funding, but have you talked to staff about possible access to the Capital Endowment Fund as being another one?
We've had discussions with various staff members. I think at this point in time, the thoughts from staff were make sure that we get a submission through the annual plan process, put it on the agenda, allow it to be a topic that is discussed. There was identification, as I mentioned, of the New Brighton Regeneration Fund. If that is not seen as the appropriate source, then we would be open to any discussions with anyone ongoing to identify other options. I guess at the end of the day, it's finding $3 million at most to build a facility, whether it's this facility or something different, to get the right outcome for New Brighton.
And the only other question I had in regards to funding, have you approached central government? Obviously, Surf Lifesaving New Zealand and lifesaving is a kind of, as much a national issue as a local issue.
I think the best way to answer that is there is a funding process that's been identified, and it's about hitting certain deadlines with various funders in terms of making sure that we maximise the opportunity. So, for instance, Rada Foundation, 1st of June is their deadline for expressions of interest with regard to capital projects. So we'll make sure we're engaging with them before the 1st of June. We're very aware the next opportunity from the Lotteries Commission is an application on mid to late August. So I guess it's looking at the timeline and saying, well, we've got to come to council at this point in time because this is the time to be heard.
That's great. Look, thanks guys, really appreciate it. See you at the game tonight. Thank you. Now we have James Ensor. James has got two submissions. One's on page 741 and the other is on page 374.
And of course, we've got our own personal copy as well.
Hey? When is it? Oh yeah, that's the which one would you like to start with?
I'm going to do the dog one first.
The dog one? Okay, that's 741.
The Mayor, Leanne, Carleen Edwards, Chief Executive, Deputy Mayor, Vicky, and councillors. It gives me great pleasure today to bring this submission to you and bring it to your attention. I was really concerned with the events that have happened over this last year, especially in a public area where the owners of the dog were very inconsiderate and had no idea what to do when they had a dog that was out of control. Each time it did quite serious damage to my clothes and to my body, and I rang the council and I've had no response or reply from that. The second attack was the same, there was no response to that, and the dog owner was the same owner, and I found them very arrogant and very unreasonable. No collars, no ID when asked for it, and I was unable to find a vehicle to identify them. The third time I was in the Littleton Recreation Ground, actually looking at some of the equipment was there, and it was quite a small dog this time, and it just grabbed hold of my lower leg and just took quite a bit of skin off it, and actually I had to wrap it up to stop the blood from coming out. I find this quite unsatisfactory, and so I consider the council need to take some action and allow some funding to deal with this issue. I think it's very, very serious. I've attached the article that was in the press. I think this supports my case. And when I was taking some money into the bank on the way in, the teller there asked me how the day was going, and I said, well, I'm actually going to submit to the council on dog bites. And she said, wow, she said, I've had a real issue this year. It actually freaked me completely out. Her daughter, Natalie, got 2 bites in this last year, one on the side of her face and the other on her lip, and she was aged 10, and this is in the Marihau area, and she was actually walking to school with her, and she just really didn't know how to cope with it because there was nobody there to deal with the dog. The school wouldn't deal with it, and the council didn't deal with it, and I think this is really quite serious, so that sort of supports my case. So I don't want to say a lot more, but I just think it's something. Christchurch is really bad. I've been a volunteer earthquake worker where I've done for the last 4 years, and I've done like 12 hours a day, and so I see a lot of these issues as I go around the various houses helping people sort out their earthquake issues. I don't know whether my panel would like to support it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, just you want just a second, please?
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know too much about what the council has in place for sort of what the processes are for dealing with these issues. I guess it is quite difficult when the owners or dogs can't be identified, the owners of the dogs. But even are there sort of hotlines or helplines where people can sort of report these incidences, even just making the public a bit more aware of what opportunities they do have to sort of report these incidences?
Look, I'm just going to use the live stream to do this because I think it's a really important thing. We've got animal management officers rostered 24 hours a day. So it's really important that you don't wait till you get home and ring the council. If you've got a cell phone with you, ring straight away. We've got an 0800 number as well as an 03 number. So the 03 number is the council number, 03 941 8999. I'll just repeat that. 03 941 8999. And the 0800 number is 0800 800 169. 0800 800 169. Now, it will be classified as a priority 1 if there are dog attacks or biting, or dogs at large and rushing at people, or a single dog, you know. So if you're in that situation and a dog's rushing towards you, well, get out of the way first, but ring the council, say that you've got a priority 1, and as I say, animal management officers are rostered 24 hours a day, and Vicky's going to put those numbers on her Facebook page instantly, and all dogs, regardless of type, have the potential to bite, and a loose dog can be aggressive for a whole lot of reasons. They may bite because they feel frightened or threatened, or they're injured, or when they attempt to be dominant, territorial and possessive. So there's a lot of information on our website on this, and I really would encourage people to take action. And as you know, we're reviewing some of our bylaws in this area at the moment.
And I can attest to their responsiveness.
Yes, that's right. Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. I was just interested in your submission. You say you rang the council and no response. So what happened when you actually rang the council? Like,
well, I actually was unexpected. The event happened. I was just standing talking to somebody at the ramp, and the dog just came straight in from behind and went latched straight onto my leg. So once I tried to get some information from the dog owner, got nothing. I rang that 0800 number because I already had the council number, and lodged with them, and I would have expected the council to come back to me with some sort of recommendation of what they were going to do or what was going to happen about it, because when you can't identify the dog or the dog owner, it makes it very difficult to do it. But I did identify the site where it was, and that's all I could do on those 2 occasions. And the third time I was just in the recreation ground, I was inspecting some equipment, and these dogs actually came up completely unexpected behind me, and I didn't actually see them coming.
Sure. I was just trying to understand, because it's not a case of not knowing what the council number is. It's a case of when you've rung the council,
Yep.
you've had no follow-up, nothing back to tell you what's happened. So,
Yep.
I mean, I think that's something we need to obviously think about.
Yeah.
So what
But
can we do in
also
the
the
annual-
school, I was very disappointed
annual
in
plan?
answer to what you're saying about the school, when this mum took it up with the school and they didn't want to deal with it, and she'd actually contacted the council as well, and there was no follow-up on that. And you know the route that she was going to school and everything, and I would have thought the council would have followed up on that as well.
So you never got interviewed by an animal management officer?
No, never had any correspondence back from the council.
No, did they come and interview you?
No, they had no correspondence from them at all, nothing. I've never heard a word.
Correspondence is not something that
Oh,
you'd
well, I've never
expect,
heard
but-
back. They've never rung me, they've never contacted me, and I gave them my details.
I just wonder whether it raises possibly having a separate, like a urgent request number, or
No, it's
Something like
rostered
*691
24/7, Yanni.
or maybe
It's-
the direct animal
It
control
really
number.
is, and I mean, I just...
Sorry, you're missing the point.
It might be worthwhile following up on the particular incident, which was not that long ago, was it?
No,
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether it would be better to keep using the council generic number, or whether there's a separate direct animal control number that people
They'll
can...
put you-
It does go
It
into...
goes straight through.
It's a
Logs up.
priority service. So as
We'll-
soon
we'll
as you've
find
got,
out.
if you've got a dog complaint, you would have been put through to someone.
That's right. So I've been out with the dog control management team, and they get the call on the radio and they go straight to the site.
That's
So unless
fine,
they were
but clearly
elsewhere.
something hasn't happened in this case.
This is an operational
Yeah.
type
Why
of
not?
thing, you
Just
know?
follow it up and find out why
Yeah.
it didn't.
This is an operational
pan out.
matter. It's been
Daisy,
signalled.
Yeah.
whoops,
There's nothing we can do about it. at
No, we
government
follow it
level.
up to see why it wasn't actioned the way it
Exactly,
should have.
that's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
and
that's the point
that's
I was
what I think we'll do.
Great.
We'll follow that up, but
what's important.
you can certainly expect in a situation like that an animal management officer will be dispatched. If there's a dangerous dog on the loose, they will be dispatched. So there's something not happened there.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was there on the site for quite some time after the event, and nothing happened. Nobody turned up, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
Thank you very much.
can we move on to the other one?
Yeah, thank you very much. They've got a presentation for this one. Now, I'd like to thank you very much, Leanne and councillors, and Colleen and our Deputy Mayor Vicky. We actually met one-to-one with the councillors last Friday, and we found that a very, very useful session. We found it really good because we could liaise with the individuals and we could answer the questions and put our proposal case together. Today what we're doing is moving from the proposal case to the actual construction phase, which is what we're hoping to do over this next summer season and have it operational by October, subject to the funding. I just want to highlight some of the bits on page 2. Christchurch has no suitable facilities for launching and retrieving vessels from Littleton Harbour under adverse conditions. And the club facilities are particularly bad because you side on to the waves, and very often the days start off good and they end up not satisfactory. Youth sailing in the harbour in large groups are very vulnerable in their vessels, and also when these sort of conditions change, it is a major concern. In 2016 we have 2 known injuries, and this is just what we know of. Bruising to a body and broken arm have occurred while trying to protect their boats while being pushed onto the finger jetty, because on the public one, the same as the club one, you actually get slammed quite severely into the jetties. The next page, the users and the brief history, that page. The proposal facilities were a benefit of 5,025 people. We did a survey of the Christchurch ratepayers of the Greater Christchurch community for the port recovery plan, and we had total support for that. There was no individuals that were opposed to what we were proposing to do. In 2000 storm, that destroyed nearly all the facilities there, and 16 years since work has been commenced, To improve facilities, we still have nothing to show. And in 2013, we commissioned a report which to improve boat safety at Naval Point, and it was supported by the Mount Herbert Community Board, the Littleton Mount Herbert Community Board, as an urgent solution to improve boat safety. The next part I'm going to hand over to Rob, who's the consultant who's done the plans and things, and he's going to give you a bit of a brief outline of the project.
I guess we've got here the concept plan for the Magazine Bay Water Sports Facility. We've got a lot of support this, along with support from the Community Board. However, there's been no funding for this in the long-term plan. The cost of that was priced at about 4.2 million, and that was to provide protection to the harbour, a safe environment for people to use. What we're looking at placing now is the floating jetty, which we believe is a low-cost option which can be placed immediately, and that's going to provide protection to the slipway to give a safe environment for people launching and retrieving their boats. So if we tell you a bit about this proposal of the floating jetty, the idea is to provide an immediate low-cost improvement to boat safety in Littleton Harbour. So the jetty has three components. There's a fixed timber access jetty, a gangway down to the floating jetty, and a floating jetty which is constructed from sort of existing breakwater units that were recovered from the Marina Development Plan in 2000. The estimated cost of the proposal is $220,000, which excludes private contributions of approximately $100,000 which have been already committed to the project, and that is the supply of these concrete breakwater units. So the benefits of this project: the floating jetty will help reduce the wave heights adjacent to the boat ramp and reduce surge on the ramp. It can be easily accessed from the water over the full tide range. Being positioned on the south side of the ramp, the jetty will allow vessels to approach into the wind under southerly conditions, giving them greater control. Once alongside, vessels can be guided onto a trailer by letting out lines from the jetty and using the wind to direct the vessels onto the trailer. The jetty allows vessels to berth on both sides, which will greatly improve the efficiency of the boat ramp at peak usage and allow recreational boat users to recover their vessels quickly and safely when conditions become unsafe on the water. So the Boat Safety Stakeholders Group have been involved in trying to get this project going. They need total support from the Christchurch City Council from this project, which has so far involved 200 hours of planning by mostly skilled professionals and others. The project is designed to operate in almost all weather conditions, including southwesterlies and northwesterlies, which the Naval Point Club and other ramps in the Christchurch Littleton Harbour area are totally unusable. So flicking over, if we have a look at the plan of the breakwater unit, it shows the concept being on the south side of the public jetty, which makes it easier to use in adverse conditions. It's a floating jetty which allows it to be used over the full tidal range. The existing timber jetty on the north side of the ramp, at low tide, the deck height's quite high and it makes it quite difficult for people to disembark from the vessel. So the intent really is to have something that can be used in all weather conditions on all tide ranges and allows boats and their crews to get off the water safely in these adverse conditions.
You're going to have to speed up because we've run out of time.
Okay. Perhaps if we flick on to Roger then.
And you have been through this whole presentation with councillors
we've seen
last Friday. So.
There's a lot of differences in this proposal we're giving you today from what we had before.
Yeah, perhaps if we could look at get into the costings. Something James has done quite recently is he's secured opportunities to use the dry dock to reduce costs and cleaning the existing units and helping sort of construct the new components onto them. He's got permission from Starks and the Littleton Port Company. There are 3 time slots available in July, late July, August and August, October to use this dry dock to help with construction. Also important to note is that this facility is outside of the area that's been designated as at risk of an overburden pressure incident at the Littleton Tank Farm. We realise that the quantitative risk assessment of this isn't due to be out until August, but preliminary information shows that we're outside of this area. There are a few photos on there showing what this facility will look like. It will be similar to the existing ferry berth at the Littleton Pool Company. So that's the sort of thing that we're aiming to reproduce.
And now on the next page, we've got the wee bit about this. We're just doing stage one of it, which is the public ramp. There's a plan to do the whole lot. There was a mention made in some of the council correspondence about we didn't have a plan, long-term plan. We certainly have, and it's shown there. Then Roger just wants to very quickly just mention a couple of things here.
The order, number one is the floating jetty, which should provide shelter. But then the next proposal is number two, which is the red breakwater, and that will give protection for a separate ramp, number three. And that will be very popular, and I've spoken to a number of dinghy owners and small boat owners, and that gets the small boat owners out of the way of the bigger craft. I mean, there can be a craft up to 3 or 4 tonne being launched, and you don't want that with youngsters, with optimists. So that red breakwater would protect that artificial beach. And then the next one is a breakwater number 4, which would allow the existing marina to come back into action. The parking area, it presents a number of problems, and I think it needs to be carefully planned. I've seen a lot of plans and they don't really fit. They're not very good at all. I have, over the last 3 weeks, the last 3 Saturdays, previous Saturdays and Sundays, I've gone down between 1,200 hours, 1,300, it's easy to start that way, and I have counted and recorded all the trailer numbers in the public slip, and where possible I have spoken to the boat owners. Usually there are about 4 people to a boat, and often they're family groups, and they all support me, or support us in this proposal. Even an Aucklander was there launching his boat, I'm sad to say, because Christchurch does not show up particularly well against the Auckland facilities.
Yeah. But we are really well over time now, and look, there are a number of people who haven't been here at all, and the idea of this was to give people an opportunity that hadn't taken one of the other opportunities to come and make a submission. I mean, so I appreciate the fact that you've highlighted the additional costings work that you've done, and I think that's an appropriate thing to draw to our attention because it wasn't something that was available last Friday. But really this is the opportunity for those that haven't presented in the different forums that we've held over the last few weeks to make their point in this arena. So look, I'd like to draw this to a close. So thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've got a request from Stephen Browning, who's got a plane to catch. Stephen, I noticed that yours is really just the purpose is to table a report on the glyphosate. Is that right? If you could keep your comments.
To speak to it, I can be quite brief.
Please be brief. Yeah,
yep, sure.
Thank you.
I'll start right into it if that helps.
This way. Okay, thank you.
Is that?
Yep, get him.
Yeah, yep, thanks. Kia tātou, I'm very pleased that to see the decision the council made to look at, or more than look at, to phase out glyphosate-based herbicides such as Roundup and put it into the annual plan for submissions. I was interested enough to be actually watching your live stream during that item of your business when you made that decision, and I think I could see that option 2 was probably the pragmatic, best serving option, and I look forward to the day where you might move to the other one and removing it altogether, as some jurisdictions internationally are. And the reason I say that is that having it out of areas that are open to the public, it goes a long, long way, and I commend you for that. But you do have a lot of area that is not open to the public, but is still quite expansive, and may pose a risk to the community in time if you keep this approach, glyphosate-based approach. I do understand the logistics and the difficulty in maybe finding alternatives at times. One other point that I felt the staff report, which I think was went a long way to showing alternatives, the staff need to consider some of the other options that are currently in use in Auckland, for example, and certainly internationally, and that's hot water and hot foam. The hot foam is it's a product that's even certified for use in organic systems that obviously bubbles up the water, keeps the heat around the leaf of the plant, your target plant, for longer, but appears to be as effective a tool that's not a systemic herbicide. It seems to be the most effective tool possible for a lot of uses. Beyond that, of course, mechanical edging is the other one. I've given you 3 documents. I did aim to do 4, and the 4th one would have been a 2-page summary of the biggest document, because in my role, and I know in your role, it's almost impossible to get through all the papers. But I would suggest that you use that glyphosate no safe level as a reference. It is online, and we've put it online on a website that I'll make sure, well, in fact, it's on the next document at the top of it. That is heavily referenced. It's been peer reviewed. It's been gone through. I've had critique. EPA's looked at it, and others. No one has come back and said any of those items, such as glyphosate probably causes cancer, glyphosate damages genes at sublethal concentrations, it's an endocrine disruptor, has reproductive and infertility effects, digestive illness issues, issues around antibiotics and nervous system effects, and affecting organs, also affecting pollinators like bees, and the fact that the actual product used is much stronger than the glyphosate that is being used as the measure. Glyphosate's just the principal ingredient in the herbicide. You never use glyphosate straight. You can't get it, basically. And the Roundup has, and or other, there's 70 different glyphosate-based herbicides in New Zealand, have a range of other products in them, adjuvants they call them, stickers, penetrators and other things that can be way more toxic, particularly in combination. So that's all in that big document. It's all referenced, and there was no kickback as to the actual science involved in that. The other thing that pleased me so much to see you go down this path is that the EPA that so many people refer back to and rely on for the decision making, it is not using independent science. In fact, it is only, and the last time it did any sort of analysis was 2009, and it was science that was supplied to them by Dow AgroSciences, who were applying at the time for one of the 70 different formulations that are out there. Before that it was 2004, it was DuPont. Before that it was Monsanto, who were the patent holders of glyphosate at the time. This document picks up on much of the research that is genuinely independent, peer-reviewed and published. So I support you very strongly in the direction you appear to be going.
Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, I'll give you 1 more minute, would be very helpful. Oh, you gave me 5, okay.
It's only 1 minute.
No,
No, we're
I'm sorry,
out of
I brought you forward. You said that you would be quick and...
Yes, I normally have a
you've had
PowerPoint and give you half an hour, but I won't. If I could just tell you what the other documents are, and I'll leave it if that's what you want. Which I find is not the best. Paradigm shift is a discussion that I would ask you to read, and it is the rationale for chemical-free weed controlled by councils and commercial operators, so that it's not just done on that purely on the dollar sign. So I noticed there was a councillor that disagreed with your stance last time, and I'd particularly ask that councillor who's left the room, I notice, to have a look at that, and he may come across. It is absolutely imperative that we look beyond that. I would also say that I think your costs will be less than you anticipate in going to alternatives, because if you look at some of these other alternatives, they will be more effective than some of the ones that the council staff have suggested. There's another document there, a list of alternatives for councils, and that may help, and I'm happy to come and speak to a particular committee that, with a bit more depth if necessary. But thank you and for your time, and appreciate you going down the track that you appear to be going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to pick up on that offer to, I think, the Environment Committee.
There is a committee that
That'd be good.
invites Stephen to do that.
Thank you.